Nature of the central Kazakhstan is strikingly diverse. There are many small rivers crossing the valley. Wide steppes here and there are interrupted with high ridges of mountains or forests. Mountains of Kent are just a small part of a vast system of mountains in the eastern part of the Karaganda region. They stretch in a semi-arc form for more than 3 kilometers. Polished granite edges of the mountains sparkle under the sun. On the northern side, the mountain range divides into separate spurs with wide forests and steppe valleys in between. There is a wide diversity of weeds and grasses, rich coniferous and deciduous forests. The mountain is the starting point for many rivers. Their water is clean and cold and even has a taste of a melting snow. Nomads roamed rich grasses and forages of Kent Valley for centuries. In 1985, an archaeological expedition of the Karaganda State University began excavations of unique monument of Bigazi Dandibai era, the ancient settlement of the Bronze Age Kent. This is the name archaeologists had given to it. When we got the layout of this monument, it became clear that this area exceeds 15 hectares, and that is only on the right bank of the river. In addition to that, we found layers of same material on the left bank of a small river, Kazakh that springs from the Kent Mountains. The monument got its name from these mountains. In Farsi, Kent means settlement, the city. Perhaps the mountains were named after this mysterious ancient city. Time erased the real story of this settlement from human memory. Only legends and grass-grown ruins remained. Here are the modern remnants of dwellings of the Bronze Age. The construction involved digging out foundation ditch and erecting the walls, mostly wooden. They lined the walls with stone. Here are most likely two adjacent houses. You can see a past remains of walls, that is, this ditch has an H-shaped form. 15 residential and non-residential stone buildings were studied in the course of excavations. Kent settlement existed within 12th and 8th centuries BC period. The scientists had to recreate the lifestyle of the city, perhaps the oldest settlements on the territory of Kazakhstan. Cities appeared in the Neolithic period. It was then Neolithic period, Bronze Age, when men involved in agricultural activities had to have a place to live due to the establishment of the productive economy, agriculture and cattle breeding. First small settlements emerged, and then these settlements grew to become towns. They became towns, cities, and all of these took place in Neolithic and Bronze Age. On the basis of studies of ancient Mesopotamian cities, archaeologists concluded that the city, in contrast to the village, carries a number of distinctive features. This is primarily a larger area, not less than 15 hectares, not less than 150,000 square meters. It also should have a population of at least 5,000 people. Archaeologists are not able to ascertain the exact number of dwellings, since excavations are not yet finished. However, the excavated upper level revealed at least 100 buildings. Scientists assumed that the size of population of Kent numbered up to several thousands of people. Its territory is more than 30 hectares and consists of separate settlements. Kent and small settlements in its vicinity were home to artisans and farmers. In fact, it was the metropolis, the prototype of the metropolis, which we will have later. Today, we got used to the idea that metropolis is a huge city consisting of numerous crafts and trade centers. The city of Kent didn't have powerful fortifications typical for fort cities. However, as a cultural and administrative center, it had constructions that served religious purposes. There are only rectangular stone fences left from them, amounting from 1.5 to 2 square meters. Inside those stone fences, round cylinders covered with ash were found. Items found suggest that they were places for sacrifices made by burning leather and bronze items.
We
took samples of soils for biochemical analysis. It showed that something used to be burned inside these fences for a long time. There are 3 of such stone platforms found in Kent. Perhaps they served as outdoor temples. They were enclosing areas for performing rituals. These were the predecessors of temples, as we know them, buildings for religious rites. Excavations in Kent are striking with an abundance of unusual things made of horns. Scientists still wonder about the purpose of such items, and it remains a mystery. Fine carvings and exquisite ornaments embellish the found items. The skill involved in such work gives out the hand of a great master, professional carver. Which technologies were people of Begazidandabay utilizing? This is another puzzle of the ancient Kent waiting to be unraveled. We are now on the left bank of the Kazakh River, a left bank part of Kent settlement. These are the remains of one of the buildings. Apparently, there was a bone carving workshop. Excellent items made of horns and bones, covered with very fine carvings. Unlike the settlements of Andronova cultures, the cultural layer of Kent contains reasonably more whole bones, meaning they were not crushed. This suggests that the population lived quite happily and maintained relative peace. The state of osteological material is like a Roman military camp. The presence of large quantities of weapons indicates that state has paramilitary characteristics. Although no signs of military conflict can be seen, military squads were occasionally formed to plunder and find women to be their wives. This is also an indicator of the level of early civilizations of those ancient societies.
Это тоже один из признаков протоцивилизационного уровня жизни древних обществ.
There are more than 200 items made of bronze and copper found in Kent. It includes mowers for gathering hay to feed the livestock, arrowheads, buckles, and various types of knives. Many examples of defective casting were also found on the excavation site. Numerous pottery items had given a lot of valuable information. Dwellers of Kent mainly used pottery items created by using rolling techniques. Distinctive feature of such ceramics is a deformed roller, which sticks on the neck of the dish. This is the type of dishware that characterizes the pottery of Kent residents and Begazidandabay culture in general. The fragments found amount up to 30,000 pieces. However, fragments of completely different types were also found here. First to mention are dishes made on a potter's wheel. There are not that many of finding of this type, just about 1%.
Такой посуды немного, около 1% найдено в Кенте.
Imported ceramics found in Kent are typical for southern areas of western Siberia and Central Asia. These findings indicate that the city lived not only on agriculture, cattle breeding and handicrafts, but that it took part in communications of the ancient world. So during the Bronze Age, there were strong ties connecting peoples of Eurasia. For example, the Zhetusu region, where we are at the moment, was connected with China with some sort of proto-Silk Road. It was used to supply out Kazakhstani metal there. Bronze, tin, not only in the bars, but also in a form of completed products. Mountains of Kent are one of the centers of ancient metallurgy, metal and quartzite extraction. Studies carried out in central Kazakhstan have found that the smelting and processing of metal was mastered here 300 or 400 years earlier than in Europe. A cluster of metallurgist smelters was located on the left bank of Kazakh River in the city of Kent.
Перед нами металлургическая печь.
Here we have a metallurgical furnace, a complex thermotechnic structure. Such furnaces were meant for melting copper ore and copper recovery. The oxygen was supplied here through the blower channel. It started at the stream, where the air was most rich with oxygen. Additional gases would leave through the off-take channel that was also sealed with slabs. This is how high temperature was achieved.
И таким образом создавалась высокая температура.
The achievement of Kent metallurgists is that they were not limiting themselves to just smelting of copper and bronze object. Next step involved obtaining iron. It was generated from the same ores using same heaters. The findings here included products of iron ore processing, ore slag and lumps of iron. The emergence of proto-urbanization, urban culture in central Kazakhstan, is tightly connected with the development of copper deposits reserves. This tendency persists to nowadays. Today, this region is an important center of non-ferrous metals extraction. According to the massiveness of the cultural layer and diversity of findings, the city could have existed for not less than 200 to 300 years. What happened to Kent? Why did its residents leave the place? Scientists theorize that at the end of the Bronze Age there was a change of climatic conditions. At the same time, the density of population had increased, giving more pressure on food supplies. It was necessary to move in search for pastures for overgrowing flock. Therefore, in the beginning of Saka era, the descendants of Begazi Dandabay culture left the city and started to roam the steppe.
Begazi-Dandabаевская культура была
People who laid the foundations of civilization on the territory of Kazakhstan founded Begazi Dandabay culture. It was then, in those long-gone days, in the period of the late Bronze Age, the second half of the second millennium BC, the foundations of nations were laid. These nations later spread on these territories in the early Iron Age period with another type of economy based on ranching farming. This civilization, or proto-civilization, stood as the basis of the formation of nomadic civilization. This civilization gave life to nations which we conventionally call the Sakas. The story of Kent was short-lived, but according to findings, it experienced a strong surge in the development of handicrafts and trade, was a point on the ancient Proto-Silk Road, facilitated the emergence of early forms of statehood. It was a city of metallurgists and artisans. Settlement of Kent was one of the first urban centers in the Eurasian steppe, with its unique culture symbolizing the symbiosis of nomadic and settled civilizations.